Blessing it is to be here with no microphone. I hope I don't go hoarse on you, but I'll be sure. Is Greg's head in the way? Okay, good. All right, very good. I'd like to start by introducing the future of our faith you see on the screen. On the left, that is my 8th grade Edge class from last year. I have spent 3 years with those young men. This fall, I'm going to follow them in the life team. They're like family. On the right, my 10th grade confirmation class. Now, can you spot any priests in the picture? Well, I know I can't. I believe God can, and God's working on every single one of them. For 14 years, I've been a pointer. I'm just a pointer. I'm a small group leader. What I do is I point to God's Word. I just say, hey, what's God saying to you? And then the class, they do all the talking. They discuss how they're going to put God's Word into action, prayer, serving others. But what I try to do is I try to find out what that love is in their heart, what they really love to do. Could be algebra, could be basketball. But I want them to apply some of that love to God and their faith, and then watch amazing things happen. That's what led me to the Vocation Committee and what I call my Andrew Dinner Adventures. They started right here 5 years ago. They needed 2 adults to take a small group of young men to the seminary. I was moved by the Holy Spirit. And I received a copy of the book for the first time of To Save 1,000 Souls. It has a new copy. It has, well, let me talk about these gentlemen first. But these gentlemen are powerful young men that God is watching very closely right now. Dave McCoy is sitting down there. He's the one that said, come on. And this young man in the robe, that's Father Richard right there. Looks pretty good. Father, is you still here? He's not here. I knew he'd bail because I had that picture of him. This is a wonderful book. If you do not have a copy of To Save 1,000 Souls, it is my handbook next to my Bible. It is my handbook for vocations. You need a copy of this book, and talk to Johanna, and Johanna will get you a copy of this book. Because to make a good decision, you need good information. And if you want good information about vocations, this is your book. For instance, when I talk to parents of teens, and I want to talk to them about discernment, sometimes I'll start by saying, wouldn't it be great if our teens would ask God, Lord, what do you really want me to do in this life? And not just follow what the world wants you to follow. That gets the conversation going with parents real quick. That's what the Andrew Dinner is all about. When you have a great vocation team working together, it is a blessing to watch these teens grow, but also to watch the families grow as well. What do I need to point to? I'm pointing. What do I need to point to here? Johanna, what should I point to?
I could cycle it.
Right here? Get closer, you think?
I can just do that.
Oh, do that. Thank you. I'm going to introduce you in a second. This picture was taken 4.5 years ago right here at the seminary. And today they're still core members. Actually, that's Greg sitting right up there. We've added about 10 people in the past year. There was a time when our vocation committee, we were struggling. We didn't have the systems to nurture teens on a continual basis to consider religious life, even at this level with teens. Today with me is Greg Brown. Greg and I have worked 2 Andrew Dinners together. And later today, when we break into small groups, I want to be sure that you talk to Greg about, he has 2 sons, a wonderful wife, Shannon, that's in the picture. But he has 2 sons, he has 3 sons and 1 daughter, but 2 of the sons have experienced discernment, religious formation, and religious life. He'll also talk about the Andrew dinner as well too, but be sure that you talk to Greg. He's powerful. I'm glad he's a part of our vocation team at St. Lawrence. I appreciate that. Also at the table in the purple sweater, her name is Nia Seppi, and she is our vocation committee coordinator. She ran across an article in, that means slide. He's almost there. We're going to keep him though. She ran across an article in the National Catholic Register, and it said where there was Eucharistic adoration for vocations, an increase of priests usually follows. And during that hour, you have prayers, prayers with spiritual protection for priests, a beautiful vocation rosary, and time for vocation reflection done with a family of believers. Now, this touched Nia's heart, and she requested with our pastor a monthly holy hour to promote vocations with our pastor. She asked several times. She did not get discouraged, and our pastor finally said yes. So God sent us also Father Chung Sung, young priest right out of the seminary. Wonderful. And he's leading our vocation committee. So now the first Monday of every month at St. Lawrence, it is adoration for vocations in the Divine Mercy Chapel. We send that's the church email that goes out. We do texts, emails, sometimes specifically the families that have joined us before. We're always inviting people we see at Mass. There are various ways of getting the word out, and as Father Richard mentioned, I think you'll agree that a personal invitation is the best invitation that you can have. When people enter the chapel, they will see an opportunity to get involved, to lead a decade. First few months we got started, maybe 5 or 6 new people would join us, but they were hesitant in leading a decade. Weren't too sure. They weren't comfortable. So I asked Greg, I said, Greg, why don't you lead the first decade and set the tone for the adoration? And he did. And he's still doing it. Because those next 4 people could come in and go, okay, here's where I have to come in, here's where I need to sit to be loud enough, and it helps overall. It takes time for people to get comfortable, and we were not discouraged. We also have a stack of printed adoration, rosary, and prayers at the door when they enter. They pick them up as they walk in. I usually sit in the back row where the stack is, just nod, smile, and answer any questions if needed. During the hour, we acknowledge also those in the parish that have said yes to God's call. Usually in attendance, there are many of the parents and families and friends of the sons and daughters in formation. And sometimes when there are people currently in vocation, in formation, they will attend with their families as well. It's a family event. Let me show you. Next slide. Father Chung Sung has started sending out texts and emails and personal invitations to moms and dads and families, saying things like, hey, we're having adoration, first Monday for vocations. Bring the family, kids eat for free. We're going to eat pizza and kids eat for free. Recently, I was sitting at Mass on a Saturday. Father Chung Sung announces it's Saturday Mass, and it surprised me. He said, attention families, Monday at 6 p.m. in the gym, we're going to have dodgeball for the kids, then adoration for vocations in the chapel, and then we're going to eat pizza and the kids eat free. We had a great turnout. Next slide. So we start planning for our Andrew dinner. And we usually talk about it all year long, but 3 months out, we start planning the availability of priests, dates and times. I love the first part of the year, and in small group I can explain to, well, I may later on. But we stay away from rodeo, spring break, and prom. But our date was March 31st. And I get started by contacting Life Teen youth leaders, especially the Life Teen core members and small group facilitators. I'm one of them. And I want them to be also aware of what the Andrew Dinner is all about. And I want them thinking about discernment as well. But we go to them and we say, we want you to identify the teens in your small group that are walking with God, sharing their Catholic faith, serving others. They contribute in their small groups with a commitment. I can spot them a mile away. It's like, wow, that's exactly what we need. We want to get those youth leaders and those small group members involved in our parish. Then, about 4 or 5 weeks out before the date, we start, Father Chung Sung sends out the email. Next slide is Father Chung Sung's email. He sends it out to family. It goes to families, moms and dads. And when Father sends out that email, even before he does, he says, hey, be looking for my email. I've got it coming about the Andrew Dinner. So he's walking and talking the Andrew Dinner. Goes to moms, dads, and teens. And it's brief, the who, what, when, where, and why. Evening of food and fellowship. The great line in there is exploring how to discern your calling in life. There's a time for discussion, questions, a relaxing time, getting to know each other. Once the letter goes out, the game is on. That's why we're looking, and at that time, we're looking for as many opportunities as we can to talk about the Andrew Dinner and get that buzz in the church. They may become priests. Once that letter goes out, we're looking for opportunities like parents to talk to other parents about it. Teens are talking to other teens about it. Oh, what's this all about the Andrew Dinner? When the word starts to spread, that's when we're doing our work. Greg Brown and I, all of a sudden, we're getting these names, and I've got to call these youth leaders maybe 2 or 3 times. I send them an email, tell them this is what we're looking for, and I call them, I go, hey, let's look at your groups. And I've even gone to I've taken my group of confirmation people into other groups, and I'll spot 4 or 5 kids that it's like, these young men need to come. But about this time, Greg and I sit down, we take the list and we split the lists. Fun time, huh? Greg says, I know these moms and dads, and I know some of these, and then we take names and we don't know the people. We start making calls 2 or 3 days after that email goes out. And I'll briefly introduce myself. I'll say, hi, Rick Candia. I'm a core member, Life Teen. I've been asked by Father Chung Sung to give you a call. Did you get Father's email? Father wants to know if Gabriel's going to be joining us. And then you sit back and you listen. Now, let's flip to the next slide. Okay, so you see we put together a list. And I've got copies of these for you, or I can send you some information, some of these things on the slideshow if I get your email and things like that. I also put together a talking sheet for Greg and I, if needed. But we always mention that Father Chung Sung, you could call him, you could text him, and he'll get back to you. He's pretty good at that. And sometimes when you get on the telephone, and quite frankly, the first call we make is to the moms. The second call is to the dads. Dads may not be in the loop. So sometimes you'll get a response when you're on the phone, and it's not a response. Like they don't know what's going on. So that's when I go into, hey, wouldn't it be great if we asked our teens, hey, God, what do you really want me to do? It's really important in our faith to get people talking about discernment. And we can do that. Let's go to, while we're making our calls, we start putting timelines together. They're always subject to change. It's jumbled quite a bit. And new ideas will pop up too within the year. Name tags. We start name tags. As soon as we start making calls and they say yes, we start printing name tags. Just do it at home. Don't have to go to the church office. Do it at home. It's pretty easy to do. If I can do it, I know you can do it. And we even start putting our shopping list together. I'd like to point out that with teens, when you put a grocery list together, there's never enough. They can eat. And number one on food is Cane's fried chicken. Amazing. And I can't tell you enough how wonderful the KCs were. Let's go to the next slide. Again, we're looking for opportunities. We had the Knights of Columbus salute Vocations one night. Vocation table, we set up, we do handouts. Seminarians came by to the vocation table. It was wonderful. The seminaries just mixed with everybody. Talked about Father Chung Sung introduced them, and they wandered around, and people were taking pictures. It was wonderful. Have you seen these bracelet handouts? Little blue, you've seen these before? These are great. They are vocation bracelets. And when we first got them, we'd just put them on the table and people would pick them up. And I'd say, we're missing it. You have to take these and you have to hand it to them. Because it says, here I am, Lord. What's that say?
I have come to do your will.
That's it. Here I am, Lord, I come. And I get choked up about this because I love these kids. But when we take these bracelets, we have to take them to the kids and you just go, hey, what's it say? And you give it to well, here I am, Lord, I come to do your will. Great, God's calling you. Let's get to work. And the moms and dads are going, yeah. That's what they need. The Casey's were so good. They even said that, hey, we'll cook dinner for you at the event. It's great. What's nice to be at an event like this, to talk about vocations, is you'll see families come by that you didn't invite their kids, and you're going, we forgot this group, or we forgot these people. So we need to be many different places all the time doing God's work. We're looking for opportunities. Question to you, on your committee, on your vocation committee, do you have any knights on your committee? Do you have any greeters on your committee? Do you have any ushers on your committee? Any Life Teen small group members on your committee? You need some. 2 weeks before the event, we start planning. We prepare. We were ready. We were flying. We were great. Everything was moving great. But then the unexpected happened. Father Chung Sung's dad had been ill for a long time, and he died peacefully at his home after a long illness. So we get a text from Father, and it says, take care of it, I'm unavailable. That was a tough time, because we had to, what are we going to do? We're not going to cancel it. Father had to take care of family business, big family, big funeral. Nia, Greg, and I immediately discussed a new date. We had to put two options together. We said, let's do this. Let's see if we can get a decision in maybe 3 or 6 hours so we can get the word out again, because everyone in the parish knew what was going on. We didn't want to let the Andrew dinner just sit there and go, it's nothing now. We had to move ahead. Of course, we needed approval from the pastor, and we realized our Andrew dinner was not a top priority at this time for Father Chung Sung and his family. This is near and dear to Father's heart, because he rides that horse for us. We prayed for guidance, and we did get it. And we also got a quick approval, too. We locked in a new date, and it gave us a little more time. But, next slide, we had to start all over again. We had our lists, had to call everybody, starting all over again. New emails to teens, moms, dads, with explanations why, new date. And the email goes out, then we call everybody. If they said yes or they said no, didn't matter. Try again. We just kept on thanking the Lord for another day to do His work. Our vocation team got together, and we were ready. Next slide. And you're going to remember this, Greg. On Friday the 14th, around 6:30, adults began dropping off their teens at the rectory. And we added a new outside element. Father Chung Sung came up with this idea. We added a new outside element to the night. We welcomed everyone to cornhole competition in the rectory backyard. Now, when I took that picture, I remember immediately after I took that picture, Father Chung Sung walks up to me and he goes, "You know what? We're going to add a football to it next year." And I'm going, I don't know how, I don't know what, but we wrote it down for next year. We don't know how the football's going to fall into it, but next, okay. Now's when it gets wonderful. Father Richard was there, Father Chung Sung, they welcomed everybody. We gathered in the rectory kitchen, and I'm here to tell you that is home field advantage for an Andrew dinner. You can have it in a nice auditorium like this, but boy, when you have it in the rectory, then the teens get to see how the priests live their life. I think that's really important. Let's see here. So fathers gave them a rundown on what was going on for the next 3 hours. Very at-home, relaxing event. We were in the front room, the dining room, the rectory TV, office. We had small tables in the small rooms for breakouts later during the night. And we blessed the food, everybody ate, and what was interesting is we realized there were 5 adults there with us, and they had signed up. There were 3 families that signed up online at the diocese. Johanna's going, yep. And when they showed up, we thought, well, this is okay. Actually, it turned out to be a huge blessing, because the parents stayed at a distance, and they stayed for the entire night, and it was an opportunity for us to go one-on-one with those parents and tell them how wonderful their kids were. How they walk in their faith, which they don't hear enough of. The adults ate in the rectory kitchen after the teens were through. They observed the entire night from a safe distance. They heard the message about discernment, too, which is important for the adults to hear. And they heard their kids sharing when we went to small groups. In the main room, let's go next slide. Main room, after we ate, we watched a video called A Day in the Life of a Priest. You can watch it online, I think, on YouTube. It's a wonderful video. You've seen that, haven't you? Day in the Life of, okay. Yes, okay. Pretty entertaining, isn't it? It's like, this is what they do, huh? It's great. After the video, we broke into 3 areas of the rectory. Father Richard was at one table, Father Chung Sung, Greg and I were at another table, and for discussions in small group, and everyone shared their faith. Asked questions, it was wonderful. At the end of the night in the rectory, we handed out goodie bags. Johanna, thank you so much. When Father Richard came, he looked like Santa Claus with bags, walking in the door. It was wonderful. We handed out the goodie bags, and then we walked the teens over to the church. Let's see here. Do we want to go to the next slide? No, not yet. Well, hold on a second. No, not yet. We walked over to the church. Father Richard spoke to the teens, and then we had prayer and reflection time in the front of the Blessed Sacrament. Now you can go to the next slide. Okay. And we passed out a handout for the teens for reflection during this time. And it was a special page that we pulled from To Save 1,000 Souls. You really need a copy of this book. It's great. We pulled a page from it, and it was Reflections for Discernment During Adoration. Questions you could ask yourself. Examine yourself. A powerful exercise we took again from my handbook, and we added a Holy Spirit prayer to the end of it, too. A great ending to a special night. Yeah, there it is right up there. That's it. Yeah, let's go to this one here. All right, so about 9:30 the night ended. The adults were sitting in the back of the church waiting to pick up their kids. They were praying with us, waiting quietly, and then when the teens were done, they just followed their parents out and left. Greg Brown and I, we followed Father Chung Sung back to the rectory. How do you like that picture? Remember that bottle of wine we had? That's all right. Well, Father Chung Sung, we sat down at the table, we poured a glass, and we recapped the night. Did I say that the rectory kitchen was home field advantage? Yeah. It is. It was great. But we recapped the night for about a half an hour. That's just one page. We eventually had 2 pages that we put together. And we compiled it for our committee so we could talk about it later. And one of the main things that stuck out is, next slide, let's see if it's on the next slide. Yes, okay. The thing that stuck out for me, and Greg Brown brought it up too, on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, and Father Richard mentioned this, how do we follow up with our people in formation, with information, with these young teens, with information and activities on a consistent basis talking about discernment? How are we going to do this relationship here? Working with the Andrew list from this year, the past years, and ongoing. What are we going to do on a continual basis? Or can it be a spur-of-the-moment thing? Next slide. Wouldn't you know it, it didn't take Father Chung Sung too long. I would get a call Saturday morning going, hey, can you send out some emails? Basketball tonight in the gym. Father and the team, and I played basketball. We've been there. We've been there. They play basketball. They play hard. Father Chung Sung and the teams play very hard. They pray before they play basketball, they play hard, and then everyone prays the liturgy of the hours after. It's powerful to see it too. It's great. Just don't want to get run over by Father Chung Sung. That's all. It's tough. He loves it. He's played with the seminarians for a long time. Have you played against him? Oh, no. Oh, okay, good. Well, where were you when I needed you? Today we have a wonderful opportunity, and I get choked up about it when I talk about it. How can our vocation committee be more effective in the parish? Today we're here to talk and we're here to share and encourage. That's the key thing. We have to encourage one another on the committee, get bigger committees together, but just like we have to encourage our kids. Thank you so much. God bless you for the work you do. I can't wait to find out more about what you folks do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to break for like 2-3 minutes before our final presentation if you need to run to the bathroom, get some more coffee or anything like that. But